Good morning. Welcome to the Cohn Zone. We're the Cohns, Lowell Cohn, Grant Cohn, and we are officially on Aiyuk Watch. We sort of talk about the 49ers, but really we're just on 24/7 Aiyuk Watch. And instead of being like camped on his front lawn, he releases the information. Every once in a while, he puts something on social media and gets us talking about him again. Yesterday, it was a video where he tells the Commanders quarterback, they said they don't want me back, I swear. How do you interpret that one, Dad?
Well, it requires interpretation. First of all, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, and I'm not sure he knows what the hell he's talking about because the 49ers have given no indication that they don't want him back. They don't say to the media, "How the hell with Aiyuk? We don't want him back." They're just being quiet, which I think is the mature business-like thing to do. All the chirping we hear comes from him. So it could mean they've told him, "We don't want you back. We're going to get rid of you," but they haven't gotten rid of him. It could mean, "We don't want you back at the price you're asking," which I have a feeling that's what they're saying. And he's promoting that as they don't want me back. So I don't take much from what he said, nor do I care. And this is my what I feel about his contract negotiation. In Brooklyn, we'd say a little different. But what I want to say is, I don't give a crap what happens to him. Now, I prefer him for the Niners' sake to be on the team. But in terms of what he is going to earn, I simply don't give a crap. I am so bored to death. So I'd like to give a little background. The Chronicle hired me, the San Francisco Chronicle, in 1979. They didn't really need a sports columnist. They already had Glenn Dickey, who was very good, and Art Rosenbaum. But they wanted someone who was a little different, who would handle sports as culture. I had got a PhD in English literature from Stanford, which was a big deal at the time. And I had published a lot in Sports Illustrated. So from their point of view, I was a really good writer and sophisticated. At no time did they say to me, "You have to get a master's in economics." It never came into the conversation. "Lowell, can you analyze contracts? Because we really want you to analyze contracts." Who cared? And my colleague, Glenn Dickey, was interested in that sort of thing. And he did it. And I was happy to let him do it because I didn't want to do it. What I wanted to write about was games, teams, and people. And I wanted to use my writing ability on that and use my New York-based opinionated opinions. That's what a sports columnist, I believe, does. I'm supposed to get into whether Aiyuk is worth $26 million or $30 million or $35 million. Who gives a crap? He'll get what he gets. He'll be on the Niners or he won't be on the Niners. But this to me is really, really boring. And they should have an economics writer write a paragraph each day at the very last page of the paper about that and not have any sports writers have to deal with his issue. That's how I feel.
That's fair. I mean, I don't like looking at the situation as like one side is a victim, like Brandon Aiyuk is being oppressed or something. Like, it's just business. And when he comes out and puts stuff on social media that implies that he's unhappy, it's just a move, a business move. I don't know if his agent sanctions it or recommends it or is upset about it, but that's all it is. But I do think the story is interesting in how the 49ers are handling Brandon, because that's part of team building. Which players do you find irreplaceable and which players do you not? When they extended Christian McCaffrey, we talked about it, we praised him. And they're taking a very different approach with Brandon and essentially saying you're replaceable. And I think that's very interesting. It's sort of what they did with DeForest Buckner 4 years ago and they were wrong. But they might be right this time. And maybe they're a little nervous to actually get rid of him and move on. It seems like they're a little stuck in the middle. That's the part of the story that seems kind of interesting, that they're kind of stuck in limbo, not the numbers.
I think they're both stuck in limbo. I think it's mutual. They're in a relationship. You know how sometimes relationships don't work out? Have you ever heard that concept?
Yeah.
They're in a bad relationship right now.
Yeah.
That interests me.
That's
And
interesting.
that's interesting. And look, what are the 49ers options? They can give him what's the highest one making now? Jefferson? What is he making? 40 million?
35. 35 million a year,
35.
88 million guaranteed.
If the Niners were to give this guy 35 million a year based on his production and based on the fact that they throw the ball the fewest times of 32 teams in the whole league, they'd be out of their minds. Okay, so let me just go through this scenario real quick. They could say to him, "We own you for another year. Come and play. Play at the price. It's no skin off our nose, or we'll give you some kind of a restructuring later on. Take it or leave it." Or they trade him, but I don't think they're going to trade him. We're betting a bottle of wine on that. So I think they hold all the cards. And if they were to say, we can't reach an agreement, play for us, then it gets very interesting. What kind of a player will he be?
Sure. And you said at the beginning they have a bad relationship. That's true. And usually when you realize you're in a bad relationship, the healthy thing to do is to get out of it. And
Right.
if they hold him here for another year, the relationship will get worse and it won't necessarily work out in their benefit or Ayuk's benefit. And you know why their relationship is so bad? What makes it so bad? There's a ton of resentment, especially on Ayuk's side. He feels he didn't get featured enough. He feels he didn't get enough targets. He feels he'd be a bigger star if he'd been on another team. And it's hard. I mean, he resents the fact that he was put in the doghouse 2 years ago. I think he has a bunch of grudges against Kyle and the organization that he won't let go of.
I don't care how he feels.
Yeah.
His feelings are irrelevant to the situation. It's a business deal. He needs to take his feelings out of it and he needs to grow up. I want to be really clear about his feelings. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap. And I don't give a crap about the 49ers' feelings. This is a business deal. They'll work it out or they won't. But I want to say, let's go over the possibility, Iggy, that
Real quick though, what with the Bosa thing last year and Debo before that, it was business. This is clearly business that's personal too because it's a bad relationship, and that's why I think this story is interesting to me.
Okay,
I know
but
you're tired of it.
No. But what I'm saying, it doesn't seem to be bitter on the side of the Niners. They're not saying bad things about him.
True.
He's acting like a juvenile. He's throwing every week or two. He throws a tantrum.
Yes.
John Lynch isn't throwing a tantrum.
No.
Kyle Shanahan isn't throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
This kid is. And so every time you throw a tantrum, as the kid throws a tantrum, does the parent have to react? You could ignore it or say, sweetheart, like we did to you, you got a timeout, go into your room for a while. I think he needs a timeout. I do.
I think they've put him on timeout. It doesn't seem like they're really talking much.
Good. He's on a timeout. I like it.
Yeah.
But I want to go over this one possibility. First of all, Iggy, how much roughly is he going to make next season? 14 million?
Yeah.
Oh, my heart breaks for him. He's going to have to, collect cans and go to the store and get a nickel a can so he can supplement his income. So let's say they say, look, we own you for another year, play. So what are his options? He could not come, but then he'd lose a lot of money, right? If he doesn't come and play. He won't do that. And it's a bad look around the rest of the league. He could come and be a dog. Nothing against dogs. He could come and be a dead dog and not try hard. Well, the people, his teammates will hate him for that. Or he could play his tush off, impress the 49ers, and impress the rest of the league. What do you think he would do?
I think there's also the possibility comes back, maybe misses a few games, holds out for a few games, eventually comes back, maybe at the beginning or the season or a month in, plays hard, but also is throws fits during games on the field if he doesn't get the ball, is vocal about how many times he needs the ball, and after losses is critical of the coach. That kind of stuff. Like the kind of stuff that Terrell Owens used to do.
Which was disgusting.
Uh-huh.
If okay, I want to say something. If he does things like that, I would hope that the leaders on the team, Trent Williams, Kittle, CMC, straighten them out. We don't need you like this. You're either a part of our team or you're not. I certainly believe on Joe Montana teams and Steve Young teams, they would not have accepted behavior like that. It's not
You're
the
either part of the team.
49ers.
Well, then Aiyuk would say, "Then trade me. I'd love to not be on this team."
Okay.
I don't know.
Al Davis would sit him down.
But sure. But I mean, like, all this drama just doesn't seem like it's what the Niners need. It's going to lead to them winning the Super Bowl this year. This seems bad.
I think they'll work it out one way or another, and I think it will not be an issue during the season. I do. I think it'll not be an issue, and I think if Aiyuk acts badly during the season, his agent is going to explain to him this does not help your brand. It's not good for you to do this. And my impression is Aiyuk is not stupid. He's just maybe immature. I think probably someone will get that through to him. And here's what else I think. I think that's what the Niners feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Niners feel like they have all the leverage and that he'll have to show up and shut up. But I just don't think it's going to be that simple. And if he ends up hurting the team by not being all in with it, how does that help the 49ers in the big picture?
Okay.
I mean, it's hard enough to put a team together. If he doesn't want to be part of it, maybe trading him is the move as opposed to like keeping him here against his will. I know in the 70s and 80s you could do that, but now players have a lot of leverage too. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to trade him. That's why we're betting a big bottle of wine. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they're either going to work it out and he'll come back and take a swallow hard, or they won't satisfy him and he'll have to decide how he wants to act next season. And if he doesn't play well and it seems like he's not really giving a full effort, that's going to hurt him with every team in the league. It would be suicide.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue of him not giving full effort. I think the issue is him being selfish.
Selfish and having a big mouth.
Yeah.
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 I don't think, I think a lot of players right now are probably on his side. But once the season starts, I know players, Iggy, their attitude is you got what you got or you didn't get what you wanted. Now we're playing. Now you're with us. I don't think leaders on that team are going to put up with it. You think Trent Williams going to put up with that? With this guy dogging it?
I don't think he's going to dog it. I don't think he's going to dog it. I just feel like there is some type of emotional element that Kyle Shanahan's going to have to balance as the head coach. He can't ignore this.
That's another interesting thing. And you and I had talked about, you had broached it yesterday. We had talked about it. Let's say Aiyuk wants more passes thrown his way.
Right.
Well, Shanahan's the play caller. What does he do? Does he say, oh, I'm going to throw a lot more to Aiyuk because I want to make him happy? Or is he going to say, this kid really pissed me off. I'm not going to throw the ball any more to him than before. I mean, isn't it really or less? Isn't it in the coach's hands?
Yeah, they just drafted Ricky Pearsall. They got to use him. It would stand to reason that everyone's going to get a little bit less this year so he can be a factor. That could absolutely happen. So Aiyuk comes back and all of a sudden he's getting 3.5 catches a game. He's facing free agency next year. He freaks out. And that wouldn't even make, any wide receiver in his position would freak out. It just seems like an explosive situation that the Niners feel they can control. Maybe. Well, they better win. Winning would control that. Winning would be fine. As long as they win, they're good.
Again, if it plays out in the locker room that Aiyuk is a problem, as a journalist, I would find that extremely interesting. I wouldn't be concerned with his contract or whether he won or not. His behavior in the locker room would interest me a lot. That's a story. Has he melded into the team? But as far as his resentment and his hurt feelings, I don't give a crap. On the other hand, if Jed York is hurt and is resentful of Aiyuk, I don't give a crap.
I do feel that it's been interesting to learn who Brandon Aiyuk is this offseason. because he's been, of all the stars on the Niners offense, he's the quietest. He's the one that seemed to call the least attention to himself. But when it was his
Right.
time to be in the spotlight and have articles written about him all offseason, he really milked it.
He did what Deebo Samuel did a few years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly the same playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, Deebo said he's consulting with him.
Yeah.
Is Deebo telling him to do the stuff that he did? Is that who you want as a business consultant?
It hasn't been working.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. All right. Well, we'll see if Brandon Aiyuk puts out any more TikTok videos this week.
I got another question.
Sure.
At this point in their career, who is more essential to the Niners or more valuable, Deebo or Brandon?
I think it's Brandon. I think Debo's value got lost a little bit when they got Christian McCaffrey, but maybe I'm wrong
Okay.
about that.
All right.
I don't know.
Maybe it's to be determined.
I mean, neither one played particularly well in the Super Bowl.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I mean, you could argue that maybe
Okay.
neither one is worth the big bucks.
Okay, last point on this. Are they both overrated?
That's a tough one. In a sense, they are because they're on such a high-profile team. But I don't know. Would you call them overrated?
I think maybe Deebo is. He's living on a past reputation.
Yeah. Aiyuk seems like he's ascending, and he's still 26. But Deebo is definitely not ascending.
I don't think Aiyuk is as good as he thinks he is.
I think the 49ers would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. He's not Jerry Rice. He's not Terrell Owens.
But at the same time, isn't it his job as a professional athlete to think that? You wouldn't want him to have like a realistic outlook on himself, right? Like that's not helpful.
No, it's true. Star players, I would not call him a superstar, but he's a star. It's part of their makeup that they need an inflated ego. I grant them that. Jose Canseco, despite all the drugs and stuff, when he was really producing for the A's, he had such a big ego. La Russa knew it, Jimmy Lefevre knew it, and their attitude was, this guy needs to be encouraged because we need him to go up there and think, I'm going to hit a home run right now. So, yes, you're making a very good point.
Yeah, they don't need Aiyuk to be thinking, hey, I'm a solid B+. All right, Brandon, we are both. My dad and I are both really pulling for you. Good luck. I hope you get all the millions.
I'm not. I don't give a crap. I'm not pulling for you. I don't give a crap about you or the 49ers. Get over it and let's talk about football. Can I be more explicit?
How would Judge Judy handle it between the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk?
I love Judge Judy. I watch her all the time. She'd dismiss his complaint, and the Niners would have a countersuit, and she'd throw them out, and she'd go, "You're getting nothing, nada, zippo." I would love it, zippo.
I would like to see a team and a player go to small claims court and have it be Judge Judy. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Enough wide receiver talk. Let's talk quarterbacks. Brock Purdy entering his third year. NFC West has some really good quarterbacks. Why don't we rank them in ascending order from 4 to 1 for fun?
Okay. I would say, first of all, there's some pretty good quarterbacks in the NFC West. Okay, and which means there's competition for Brock. I would say number 4, but it doesn't mean bad. Number 4 is the guy up in Seattle.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, you could argue he's number 3, but he just hasn't beaten the Niners. He seems a little timid against the Niners, but his numbers are pretty good. He led the league in completion percentage 2 years ago. He's thrown for 30 touchdowns in a season and 4,000 yards. He's been a Pro Bowler back-to-back years. He's a solid quarterback. Last year, his offensive line was banged up, and he's not as mobile as Russell Wilson, so he got sacked a lot, but I still think he's pretty good.
I always feel he'll throw the interception at exactly the time that's going to kill the team.
Yeah. I feel like he will stand there and take the sack as opposed to taking the scramble lane that's right in front of him. I don't
Right.
know why.
Having said all that, he's a really tough competitor. He throws beautifully. He's a quality quarterback, and he's, in my estimation, the low man in of the 4 in that division, but it means they have some pretty good quarterbacks if he's number 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's played with Pete Carroll and his Stone Age offense for the last few years. It's possible with a healthy offensive line and a more up to date offensive coordinator that he could take his game up a notch.
He is so lucky that they got rid of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll had lasted way past his sell-by date. All he did on the sideline, as far as I could tell, was chew gum. He's
Aggressively.
aggressive gum chewer, right?
It seemed like he's one of these coaches where you're watching a Seahawks game and the camera pans to him 45 times a quarter. It's like, do we have to watch him after every play? Do we need to get his instant reaction to every play? Why?
I got so tired of him. I
Yeah.
did. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna say number 3 is Kyler Murray over at Arizona.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I do agree with it, although probably just based on statistics, Geno's had some better years. I think with Kyler, there's still like a belief that he's going to put it all together because you've seen flashes. Like he's so athletic, he's so quick, he has such a strong arm. He can make some incredible plays like young Russell Wilson, but there's also been reports about him not being that passionate about the sport or not a great leader, and he's torn his ACL. So he's at like a critical moment in his career. Like, how much does it mean to him? And last year, it seemed like with the new coach, he did real well. He was the comeback player of the year.
I think the coach they have over there is excellent, Iggy. I
Yeah.
do. I mean,
Was he?
I think he might be one of the best coaches, up and coming coaches. What I like about Kyler Murray, he has ups and downs sides. What I like is he's really mobile, he's exciting, and he has an arm like Russell Wilson. He can really
really
pull
does.
out a game, really pull out a game. I think he's younger than Geno Smith and has more physical ability right now and more potential. I think Geno Smith is who he's going to be. But it's not only that there were rumors that Kyler Murray didn't really work hard at his studying stuff. The coaches said that he didn't.
It was in his contract. He's not allowed to play that
to
video game in his contract.
Right. I mean, no one ever said that Brock Purdy didn't work hard. The guy's a machine. You can't get him to stop. So that's very bad. If he continues to be juvenile about his craft.
Yeah, I was talking to Jimmy Ward about Kyler Murray a couple of years ago in the Niners locker room, and I asked him like what he made of that team, and he said when Kyler was young, Larry Fitzgerald was still on that team, and he was the leader of the team and the organization. And when he retired, then Kyler had to be the leader, and he's just wasn't one. So he needs to prove that he can be one because the guys above him on this list are leaders.
Jimmy Ward.
But Jimmy Ward is great. He's great, right?
Oh.
Well, I want to say with Kyler, like compared to Geno, Kyler's more dangerous, right? Like you would be more afraid of facing Kyler than facing Geno.
I agree.
Geno's just going to stand there. I don't like quarterbacks who try to play like Peyton Manning when they're not Peyton Manning. Use your freaking legs. What are you doing?
He's sort of like Matt Ryan. Geno
Yeah,
Smith
like,
is sort of like
move.
Matt Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
He does get sacked a lot.
Yeah, like, what are you waiting for? You're not Tom Brady. Stop trying to prove that you're a pocket passer. Move around. Brock Purdy does. Number 2 on the list.
Brock Purdy. And now let me say, I want to be really clear. Lowell's a hater. Lowell didn't put Brock first, blah, 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 blah. I love Brock Purdy. I love everything about him. And I think he's the perfect quarterback for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. I'm not saying I love what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. This kid is the perfect quarterback for that. Would you agree, Iggy?
Yes. Certainly.
Certainly. He reads really quickly, Iggy. He reads his progressions really quickly. He releases the ball very fast. against zone defenses, especially, he is money. He
Mhm.
is so accurate. He has a quarterback's temperament in that he doesn't get flustered. He can get blasted. He gets up, let's play. He, as opposed to Aaron Rodgers, when he gets blasted, you could see it affects him for many, many plays, even the rest of the game. This kid, no. This kid is Joe. In that regard, he has a temperament of Joe Montana. Let's play the next play. I love that about him. The only thing where I think I have some doubts about him is he the kind of quarterback when everything is going to hell who could win the game on his own? And I'm not sure he's that quarterback. Now that's asking a lot because there are very few who can do that. Mahomes can do it, and I think the number one guy in this division can do it. But that's the only little gray area I have with Brock Purdy. But if I were assembling a team, I'd be thrilled to have him as my quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, the question, I guess, with him, and number one is obviously Stafford on this list. The thing that separates him is that when Stafford went to the Super Bowl, he won. And when Purdy went, he didn't. So Purdy went a lot younger. The question is, can he win it? I think he can. I don't think it's his reason that he's the reason the Niners lost. But Stafford, number one, I mean, he's not as mobile as Brock Purdy, but Stafford has as good of an arm as any quarterback I've ever seen. His arm is incredible. And he's really tough as well.
Do you feel Stafford is a potential Hall of Famer?
I do think so. I think he is a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. Maybe he won't get in because he had all those years in Detroit and maybe his numbers weren't as good as some other guys who won't get in. But when he finally was on a good team, he won a Super Bowl. And that team's going to be good this year too.
They're up and coming.
Yeah.
And Iggy, Stafford has a dynamite arm, plus he's accurate, right?
Yes. I mean, he can do all the stuff with the football that Mahomes can do. Rodgers could do. Like, Rodgers was drafted to the Packers, or a good organization, got to sit behind Brett Favre and throw to a bunch of good wide receivers in his career. Stafford was in that situation. The Packers might have won more than one Super Bowl.
Got it.
So he's tougher than Aaron Rodgers, mentally, physically. Just
I
as
would
gifted.
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
But Iggy, I don't think he's tougher than Brock Purdy.
No. Brock Purdy's extremely tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really admire Brock Purdy, and it hurts me in a way because I like him so much to put Stafford over him. And it's a squeaker. You know what I mean? It's a squeaker. But I have to be honest and put the guy over him.
Yeah. Well, Stafford probably won't be number one in the division for that much longer. He's 36 years old. So it's going to come down to probably Brock or Kyler to see who makes the next step. And right now it looks like it's probably going to be Brock.
I agree. I would rather have Brock going forward than Kyler Murray. And what's more, that's not a squeaker. No question in my mind.
Yeah, because Kyler's a little bit more mobile than Brock, although Brock's mobile and his arm's a lot stronger than Brock. But I want all of Brock's intangibles, all the leadership and poison stuff that I'm not sure Kyler has.
And throwing over the middle.
And he hasn't torn his ACL.
Hasn't torn his ACL.
Yeah, throwing over the middle is a big one. Kyler can't even see over the middle. Gene J says, should the Niners trade or reconstruct Debo this summer?
I don't think there's any call for either one. Debo seems very happy.
Michael McCann says, Lowell, like all good dads know, if you give in to a tantrum, you get more tantrums. 49ers brought this on themselves by giving in to Debo. Blueprint.
Could be.
Interesting.
Iggy never threw tantrums.
Well, when I was young, I would sort of see what my older brother could what would work for him, what didn't work for him. Maybe that's kind of what's going on with Aiyuk and Debo. Sort of watch Debo. But I don't know why you would. Well, Debo got his money, so maybe you feel that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
MM Forever says Aiyuk using Debo's contract playbook strategy, in my opinion.
Seems like it.
Gino screaming, oh my God, at Aaron Donald Russian sums it up. He did do that.
I would do that too.
That would do it too. Okay, now let's rank the teams in the NFC West from 4 to 1.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Again, the fourth is tough. The fourth is tough. You know what, Iggy? I'm going to put Arizona fourth.
Yeah. Yeah.
May I tell you why?
Please.
I think Arizona has a really good coach.
Mhm.
I'm not sold on Kyler Murray, and they always seem to be rebuilding Arizona.
Yeah. It's true. I'm gonna go with Seattle, although there's a lot of people that feel that Seattle's gonna be really good this year. They've been 9-8 the last 2 years with probably pretty poor coaching. Now they have this new coach who came from the Ravens, who is sort of a trendsetter on defense and the stuff he's doing in terms of blitzes and stuff. But I don't believe in Geno at all. There's something timid about him. He's not a. I mean, he's efficient, but I don't know. He kind of reminds me of like a worse version of Alex Smith. He's just not as good as he should be. And Kyler is dangerous. Right? I know they were 4-13 last year, but it seemed like they finished the season kind of strong, and they drafted Marvin Harrison's kid, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's supposed to be the highest rated wide receiver to come out in a long time. So if he's good, they had. I just think they're going to be more dangerous. I think they're going to be interesting. Yeah, I like Arizona.
So you'd put Seattle third?
I put Seattle fourth and Arizona third, but I admit that I'm in the minority on that one.
And I would put Arizona fourth and Seattle third. I mean,
Fair enough.
we're pretty close, right? We're pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's make a case for Seattle improving.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's say Geno Smith actually is a fairly good quarterback. The only reason he had a down year last year is because his offensive line was banged up. The coaching staff just improved because it couldn't have gotten worse, and now it's up to date. They were 9-8 the last 2 years, despite having bad coaches. That's a team that could easily win 10 or 11 games this year. How about that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think Arizona is a team that could easily win 10 or 11 games?
I don't know about easily, but if they have a quarterback, let's say Kyler Murray grows up, puts it all together, and is the best version of himself, and he has a number one wide receiver, it's a dangerous team. It's a really dangerous team because right now, then they have a much better quarterback than Seattle, and Seattle that's the limit of whatever you can do on a team. You could have everything, but you still got Geno, and that's going to limit you at some point.
Before we move ahead, I would like to point out that we respect both Arizona and Seattle. We're not saying that they stink. The NFC West is coming back as a good division.
Yeah, both of those teams have young, forward-thinking, energetic defensive coaches who have done a good job against Kyle Shanahan in particular in the past. Like Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles in the NFC Championship game when they knocked out Brock. And Mike McDonald was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens on Christmas when they intercepted Brock 4 times. So that's a big reason why those two are in the jobs they're in right now.
Because they've done well against Brock.
Correct. And Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2 team. Number 2 team.
I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to put the Niners in first place here. The Rams lost Aaron Donald. He retired, although he hasn't been that great the last couple of years. They still have Matthew Stafford. Their offensive line is always good. Puka Nacua emerged last year as a rookie as a all-pro wide receiver. They still have Cooper Kupp, though he gets hurt a lot and he's a bit older. And they have a running back, Kyron Williams. So it's a really serious team.
It is a really serious team, and it's coming along.
Yeah, I mean, they were really hot at the end of the season. They put it all together. They were tough to beat. They finally got eliminated by the Lions. I think they lost by 3. And then the Lions lost to the Niners by 3. So those 3 teams are all kind of close together. And they have the best quarterback.
Why do you put the Niners ahead? By the way, I agree with you. Why do you put the Niners number 1 over the Rams?
The Niners have a better defense than the Rams, I believe. And the one thing the Niners have that other teams can't really match is a really quality tight end. I mean, the Rams have a good running back and good wide receivers, but they don't have a tight end that they can go to like the Niners do. So I think the Niners are a little bit more talented on offense, better defense. But the Rams have great wide receivers, and they have the best quarterback in the division, which makes them always dangerous.
How about offensive line, Rams?
They actually invest in their guard. They signed a really good guard this year, took them away from the Lions. The Niners don't do things like that. So I would say the Rams have a better offensive line than the Niners. Niners have Trent Williams, but the Rams have players at other positions who are good.
Do you think the Niners will go? How many games they play? Six games against the other guys.
Mhm.
Do you think they'll go 6-0 against a division?
No, I think they'll split with the Rams, and I think they'll split with the Cardinals. 4-2. They could go. They could split with the Seahawks too. I have the Niners going 11-6 this year, which may not be enough to get it done. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
It's going to be an interesting division. The Seahawks could win 11 games. The Rams could win 11 games. And Niners could win 11 games. Cardinals are a dark horse. Could be better than last year.
I love the division. I wish the football season was starting soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching a lot of Giants games. I have to admit, I got back to them. I'm a baseball fan, but I miss football very much. Iggy, I got another question. Since we're doing, it's this now, we're ranking it. Ranking is fun. Let's rank the coaches, the head coaches in the NFC West, bottom to top. I'd like, you're better at this than I am, so I'd like you to do it. Start it out.
Okay. I guess you'd have to rank the Seattle Seahawks head coach, Mike Macdonald, 4 because he hasn't actually coached a game yet. He's a rookie. But he was the defensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. He was the defensive coordinator for John Harbaugh with the Ravens. And it seems like everyone wants to do the things that he's, I don't know if pioneered is fair to say, but he's quite intriguing. But I put him at number 4 right now.
Number 4 with an asterisk, quite intriguing, and he might really be dynamite.
I think it's interesting that Pete Carroll got stale in Seattle, and they had to get rid of him and bring in a Harbaugh disciple to carry the baton in Seattle. I mean, Harbaugh and Carroll were like big-time rivals, and now that's like a Harbaugh offshoot in Seattle.
Really thumbing their nose at Pete. At Marin
Thanks for everything.
Right.
Yeah, you're outdated now, buddy. Harbaugh won the battle, the war.
Harbaugh's a very good coach. And, the Chargers are going to be, we haven't talked about it. They're going to be, there's not going to be a learning period. They're going to be a really good team this season, Iggy.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Harbaugh, so let's rank the coaches real quick in the AFC West and we'll come back to NFC West. Obviously, Andy Reid, number 1. Antonio Pierce got to be number 4 since he hasn't done it yet. But then you got Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, Harbaugh over Payton. I
agree.
Payton may be past the sell-by date, too.
You know what Payton might be at this point? A verstunken coach.
That's Yiddish for he stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget Payton. He was good. He had a time. But yeah, you have to put Andy first. And I think Harbaugh probably knows that, and it probably burns Jim Harbaugh up because he always thinks he's the best.
At the same time, he probably likes being in the division, knowing Harbaugh. Like, I get a chance to show I'm better than Andy Reid. This is gonna be great.
Right, he's
just like he did with Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
He probably thinks he's tougher than Andy Reid, and that Andy Reid. I can't wait to see how Harbaugh frames it. We'll see what he does. Anyway, back to the NFC West. 4, Macdonald. 3, probably Jonathan Gannon with the Cardinals. He's done 1 year. He won 4 games, so he hasn't accomplished a whole lot yet. But still, that team played so much harder than it did with Cliff Kingsbury, and it seems like they're on the right track.
I agree. So what we have at 4 and 3 are fairly unknown or completely unknown, but with a great deal of promise. And each organization, we think, was shrewd to get that head coach. Shrewd.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, they were hired partially because of the work they did against Kyle Shanahan, which is a big compliment to Kyle Shanahan.
Now, number 2 is tough.
It's not that tough.
Okay. Why don't you do it?
Number 2 is Kyle Shanahan.
Whoa.
See, you could say it. It's fair. It's the
Okay.
truth.
Let me try to make a case. First of all, I'm not entirely convinced, but number 2 is Shanahan because he hasn't won a Super Bowl,
Mhm.
and the other guy did.
Mhm.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Both have
Simple
been
as
to
that.
2 Super Bowls as head coaches. One won 1, one lost 2.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Mhm. You know, one guy got Stafford, the other guy didn't. One guy sealed the deal when he was there, the other guy didn't. You know, when McVay lost the Super Bowl, he made big changes to his team, got back and won it. Is McVay a great coach? I don't know about that. He's kind of a rah-rah BSer a lot of the time,
Oh,
but
he's a BS artist.
he's a
Yeah.
big BSer. But still, like, he has an energy that Kyle Shanahan just doesn't have. He's upbeat. I think players like that. Kyle's just so he can't provide that, and he always needs a defensive coordinator to do it for him.
So I think a translation of what you're saying is Sean McVay has a personality, and
That's it. That's the word I was looking for, a
Kyle
personality.
doesn't. It's like Kyle's personality was stolen at birth.
Yes.
In,
Yes.
in the delivery room, someone came in and stole his personality.
Yeah.
And they've been looking for it ever since.
Yeah. Harbaugh, very high energy guy. Sean McVay, very high energy guy. Kyle Shanahan, barely awake.
Okay. I have a more interesting topic. Since you're rating him behind Sean McVay, make the case that Kyle is better than Sean McVay. I'm giving you an assignment right now.
Sure. As an offensive play designer, I think Kyle Shanahan is beyond Sean McVay. I think Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel are both beyond Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay is smart and sensible and finds things that work and uses them a lot and doesn't get away from his best things. But there's not, I think, like, if you were to just look at the film and watch all, like, the design of his plays, it's less creative than what Kyle Shanahan is doing.
Okay. Aside from winning a Super Bowl, and I admit it's very hard to put that aside, what makes McVay better than Kyle?
I'd have to say that's the only one.
Well, I could add something else. Kyle took over and made a crummy team good. McVay came over, made not such a good team good. It got crummy again, and now he's making it good again.
I like that. I like that one.
Bill Walsh used to say to me about various coaches, I'm not going to name who they were, and he would say, imagine the coach is driving a sports car, the greatest sports car in the world. He would say, ex-coach can drive it, but can he build it? Bill always said, I can build it and drive it. I don't know that Kyle can build it and drive it. I think McVay can build it and drive it.
Well, he's showing that he can build it because he tore it apart and built it back up. Kyle Shanahan's holding on to this team. It's the oldest team in football.
Right, and the spark plugs are beginning to go, and the rings, and he's holding on. Where Bill would say, Kyle needs to rebuild the car right now. Mm-hmm. He can drive the car. Can he rebuild it? I would have rebuilt it. And Kyle is saying, I want to hold on to this car. I made the payments and I want to hold on.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the Rams roster real quick. How many players are in their 30s? Let's see. Matthew Stafford, Rob Havenstein, Jimmy Garoppolo, Darius Williams, Cooper Kupp, and Tyler Higbee. So 6 guys. The Niners have like 15. At a certain, I don't think Bill Walsh would want all those old players on his team. Maybe a few.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so it's very interesting between Kyle and McVay. Iggy, I think I might put Kyle ahead of McVay. I don't take McVay seriously as a person because he's such a BS artist.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do know every flaw that Kyle has, and he has not won a Super Bowl in 2 tries here and in a half a try in Atlanta because there was a head coach, Quinn, but it was Kyle. It was Kyle who blew it, but Quinn could have said, I don't like the game you're calling, and he never did.
Well, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Sean McVay does that now that Aaron Donald has retired. Just like it's going to be interesting to see what Kyle Shanahan does when Trent Williams retires. We'll see. You're going to have to completely rebuild your team. Can you do it?
He's getting close to the point where he has to completely rebuild his team.
Yeah.
Can he build the car? He hasn't
Yeah.
proven it to me. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you got a crummy team and he built it then. Yes, he did. Can he do it again? Because he's getting close to the point where he needs to do it again. And he's holding on to people. He holds on to the fullback, for sentimental reasons?
Yeah.
I mean, get rid of him and get another offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Iggy, I don't know nothing about Juszczyk. I mean, he may be the loveliest man in the world. And again, I don't give a crap. But do you think he adds that much to the team?
Well, I mean, only he can go in motion like he goes in motion, Dad. Because it really messes people up. They're thinking, oh my God, Juszczyk's going to get the ball, and then he never does. People were really thinking Juszczyk was going to get the ball on that play, but then it doesn't happen. All right, let's do some sleeper picks.
Sleeper.
For a while. Giants are playing Chicago, a really good outfit. We got Logan Webb on the bump today, Dad.
On the bump. Who's
the big right-hander? Last game, gave up 3. Game before that, gave up 2. Over-under is set at 2.5 earned runs today for Logan Webb. We could do that, or we could do strikeouts.
No, let's do over-under.
Okay.
I'm going to say under because he's a very good pitcher, and the Cubs really stink.
Yeah. They stink.
They stink.
They're for stunking the team, as we talked about earlier.
As we referenced before.
Okay. Ramos, he's hot. Hits, 1.5. He's gotten at least 2 hits in 4 games in a row.
Yeah, over.
This guy's been a good addition to the team, huh?
Absolutely. Iggy, Lee, let's say he comes back and he can play next season. Mm-hmm. Ramos is now the center fielder. Mm-hmm. I would put Lee back in center, and I'd move Ramos to either left or right, and then somebody's out. Yastrzemski or Conforto. Yes, is out. Okay.
He's out.
Yeah, he's out.
You're out, buddy.
Yeah, okay.
Soler. He got a hit the other. No, he's on a hitting. Look at him, Dad. He's on a hitting streak. 4 games in a row. Will he keep it going?
Hitting streak?
Soler.
Against Chicago. Yeah, I think so. Now, I've watched him a lot. If you give him the ball down the middle of the plate, high in the strike zone, he is really good. But he gets murdered on breaking balls low and away, and he swings at bad pitches all the time.
Other than that, he's been a hell of an addition.
Oh, God.
Okay, last one. Ohtani. Just because. 1.5 hits for Ohtani. What do you say?
Who are they playing?
Good question. They are playing Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because Colorado is just that bad. Okay, here are the picks I'm making. I'm going combo. $10 if I get all 4 right. $59 if I get 3 right. $15. Use the promo code Cohn if you want to play and get that deposit match up to $100. There it is. Okay, Dad, news came out today. Training camp, 23rd of July. That's when the veterans are reporting. So it's about a month away. What storylines are you most interested in this year, and why is it Brandon Aiyuk's contract?
Well, I don't give a crap about his contract, but so far, that's the only storyline they have.
Yes.
So let's talk. In the past, it was always the quarterback. There's none of that. We got that quarterback story nailed.
Yeah.
There's no competition at running back.
No.
Apparently, the Niners don't give a crap about the competition on the offensive line,
No.
right?
No.
It would be, I do think Ricky Pearsall is a story. How good is he? And how much does he, if he can, push himself into either the starting lineup or being used quite a lot? So I think on offense, Ricky Pearsall, and will Aiyuk be practicing? Will
Yeah.
Aiyuk
Will
be
Aiyuk
there?
be practicing? Is he there? Is he practicing? All that
Yeah.
stuff. Aiyuk watch.
Aiyuk watch.
Yeah.
Aiyuk watch. So that'd be the number one story. And then, of course, if he's there and wants to talk, the media wants to talk to him. I'm not so sure he's going to talk.
No.
No. But I'd say on offense, Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall's big. Ricky, don't lose that number. Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Ricky, don't
Steely
lose
Dan.
that number.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I also think even though there's not a quarterback competition, Brock Purdy is a storyline. How does he do? Even though he's a proven good quarterback, he didn't do well in camp last year. So if he does well in camp this year, that would probably indicate some growth and improvement. And if he struggles, it doesn't mean he's going to struggle in the regular season, but that's just the context of what he's done.
I love it. And because Ira Miller, sometimes after a game, I said, Ira, I don't know what the hell to write about. He said, "It's if you don't know what, write about the quarterback. Always a quarterback."
Yeah. There's also, and this is a smaller one, but I think it's going to be fun to watch Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley during practice. Who's coaching what day to day? How does that work? Where's Brandon Staley? Where's Sorensen? Are they working together? Are they talking to different players? Are they acting as if the other one doesn't exist? How does that work? The dynamic.
I love it. And Iggy, you'll look at that?
Yes, absolutely.
Iggy, do you expect Dre Greenlaw to be around? I mean, I know he won't be practicing. Do you expect him to be around?
He may be like on a side field rehabbing, and maybe during certain portions of practice, he'll come over and watch. I think that's what we're going to see with Talanoa Hufanga.
With both of them?
Yeah.
Well, that's bears. Maybe you could get some information about them. Yeah, how are they? Because they're both. I mean, I don't think the Niners' defense is as good without those two guys. Would you agree?
I completely agree. I mean, everyone says Fred Greenlaw is like a future Hall of Famer and the best linebacker ever, and he's great. But Greenlaw does a lot for him.
You said Fred.
Sorry, everyone says Fred Warner is the star, and he is. But really, Dre Greenlaw is extremely essential to this team because he runs faster than Fred Warner, hits harder than Fred Warner. He's a great player. Better against the run than Fred Warner.
Also, Iggy, isn't there a rookie cornerback?
Yes. They drafted him in round 2, Renardo Green. He looked good in OTAs and minicamp. He could be a big addition for them this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one other thing I think that could be monitored during the mini camps or the preseason, I should say, who has more personality, Kyle Shanahan or Brandon Staley? Do you have a front runner there?
Oh, man. It's a tough one. They're very similar. Brandon Staley's first press conference, they were like, a lot of times with defensive coaches, they get you all like worked up and they make you feel like you want to go out and play football. This guy was like, "Oh my God, I need to take a nap. I'm tired. I'm exhausted."
I need
You ever hear like a coach, like I'd run through a wall for that guy? I would take a nap for that guy.
I'm going to go with Kyle until further notice. I'm saying Kyle has more personality than Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley was in charge of a defense that gave up 63 points to the Raiders last year. That's tough.
Yeah. And then, as I recall, they fired his tush after that.
They did do that. Immediately, the tush got fired. Any more top storylines?
That's it for Lowell Cohn.
Lowell Cohn?
Lowell Cohn.
Generic name says Purdy can't ever put the team on his back and win with 2 minutes left because Kyle and his system will not allow it. No reason to even consider it.
I agree with that.
Yeah. You never see Brock Purdy do the hurry up offense because I don't know why. It's Kyle Shanahan won't let him do it. Not generic name says Niners will drop a game to Arizona this year.
Possible.
This show is my favorite every week, says Lil Will. Thanks, GC and LC. Thanks,
Thank
Lil
you,
Will.
Lil Will.
Steven Draper says, I don't know what that says. You got me. Midge E, the mid, Debo's son, AD gone. He needs some milk. I'm sorry, you lost me. Generic name says McVay is clearly better, and the reason is simple. He can adjust. Kyle can't and won't. Rigidity is a cancer that destroys teams. Rigidity.
Rigidity. You know what word I hate?
What?
In sports announcers? You know what it
Physicality.
is. Physicality.
Physicality.
If you listen to the NBA Finals, Doris Burke, God love her, I don't know her, whatever. She said physicality so many times. She needs another word.
She doesn't just say physicality, which is already an awkward word with too many syllables. She says a level of physicality.
Does.
He brought a level of physicality on that play as opposed to he pushed the guy.
11. And she Doris, I'm sorry. She probably thinks, man, that's really intelligent to say a level of physicality. Doris, everything a writer learns is be specific. Don't use abstract words. They're a killer.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got here?
Joseph Stockbridge. Have you seen that golfing commercial Fireball has? I saw it this morning and thought of your story. So they know I know I'm on the Matrix. Have you guys heard the story about NFL ticket lawsuit? I don't know about the NFL ticket lawsuit, and I haven't seen the Fireball commercial. Sorry. But I am golfing later today, so got that going for me. All day, every day, Kim said, huh? Getting hearing aids.
Yeah, later today.
It's a big day. All day, every day. Kim says, my humble opinion, I think Kyle holds on to these older players because he's trying to make up losing a team leader when he lost Buckner. Okay. MGM Production says, when negotiating with Debo, Kyle was confident a deal would happen because he hadn't talked to him yet. How confident is he about a deal with Aiyuk, and if he's going to speak to him like he did Debo? That's a great question for Kyle.
He won't answer it.
No. It's a good question, though. Great show, fellas, says Dave Barclay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. All right, it's lunchtime. I think this has been a great show, Dad. Terrific. You carried it.
I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, Dad. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.